Hi everyone, welcome to She Rises from SIDS. This is the inaugural video of this channel. I recently announced, I'll link it down below, I recently announced that this channel would be getting a complete makeover. It is no longer being called JujuLocks88, which is the handles from all my other social media, but it's now going to be called She Rises from SIDS. And this channel is a journey. You're going to follow me. I'm going to follow you on your journey from overcoming the feelings of loss and tragedy that you are going through right now, from losing your baby either through a miscarriage, stillbirth, or sudden infant death syndrome. This is our journey that we are going to take together. There's not enough spaces online for persons who have experienced this kind of loss or these kinds of losses, and to come on to YouTube and to document life after sudden infant death syndrome and dedicate a channel, I believe is not something that I would have ever come up off my own. I believe that God wants me to do this, not only for myself and my healing, but for anybody who comes across these videos. So I just want to encourage you that you are not alone. The same way that I know that I'm not alone, you are not alone. And as I overcome, I want you to do the same as well. So this first video is all about sudden infant death syndrome. It's, to me, the cruelest thing in the entire world. Every other autopsy result or sickness that occurs to a human being has a reason and a correlation, but sudden infant death syndrome is one of the medical mysteries. Even though medicine has been around for thousands and thousands of years, doctors, physicians, persons who study disease control still cannot determine what causes sudden infant death syndrome. And believe me, it is a tragedy for parents to receive this diagnosis. You may have an idea of what sudden infant death syndrome is, and if you're watching and you're from the Bahamas, many of you do not know what this disease or this syndrome is. Many of you may have never heard of it. If you have heard about it, you heard it in the context of doctors or nurses telling you prior to the discharge from the hospital to not lay your baby on their stomachs, but to always lay them on their backs. So you may have heard about it in the context, but unfortunately the data is not available in this country, and it's not publicized enough so that you can understand that this is not an American disease. This does not only happen to Americans. This can happen right here at home, guys. Right here at home. We have to educate ourselves, moms, dads, siblings, aunties, uncles, grandfathers, grandmothers. We have to educate ourselves on what SIDS is. Before we begin, just wanted to show you a photo of my daughter. So that was actually the last photo that she took. She took that photo 9 hours before she passed away. And I wanted to give you that example as to how cruel sudden infant death syndrome is. It has taken the healthiest babies. On surface, the baby looks healthy, but this disease takes babies who are healthy, who are happy, who you do everything right for, and it is so cruel and you cannot explain it. And I just wish that we can find a cure one day. But in the meantime, I just want to detail to you what this thing is so that you can be aware. So, sudden infant death syndrome is the unexplained death that occurs in seemingly healthy babies between the ages of 0 months and 12 months old. The peak ages for SIDS occurs usually between 2 to 4 months, and there has been a correlation between the first immunization that a baby receives. Now, this has not been proven by science or by doctors as yet. In fact, there are many studies out there that say that having your children vaccinated or having your babies vaccinated actually prevents SIDS. But one has to ask, why is it that usually these SIDS related deaths occur around the age of 2 months or 11 weeks old? My daughter actually passed away at 11 weeks old. She was going to be 12 weeks old the very next day. She passed away on a Friday, and her 12-week birthday would have been on that Saturday. She had her immunization 3 weeks before, and when I first had to deal with the loss of my baby, my mind automatically went to the vaccinations. And I looked and I researched after I got the autopsy result about a week and a half later, and there was nothing detailing it. And the thing about SIDS is that it literally is a diagnosis of, we have no idea what happened to this baby. We have no idea what happened to this baby. And so it's a very frustrating diagnosis. Now, another diagnosis that is in the family of SIDS, and it's on its way to revolutionizing perhaps the cause of what occurs to these babies, is sudden unexpected infant death or sudden unexplained infant death, also known as SUID, S-U-I-D. So in exchange for SIDS, S-I-D-S, you may see S-U-I-D. And these deaths are also the unexplained death of an infant that occurs to some of the healthiest of children. However, with sudden unexpected or unexplained infant death, due to the investigation of the death scene, environmental factors of that particular day, they may be able to determine, okay, perhaps this child was accidentally suffocated, or perhaps this child was exposed to smoke in some instance, or something related to that, you know, or maybe a blanket was present in the crib at that particular time. You are able to determine, okay, this may have been the cause of this baby passing away. However, we still cannot conclusively determine why he or she is dead, despite the fact that, yes, smoke was in the area, or they may have been co-sleeping with mom and dad, or there may have been a toy or blanket, or perhaps they had flopped over on their stomach. There's still no credible reason as to why the baby has passed away. So, according to the CDC, between 3,700 to 4,000 babies pass away in the United States. Our statistics here at home in the Bahamas aren't as great, but we still have statistics, and they show between 2009 and 2013 a number of babies passing away from SIDS. These records have not been publicized. You have to actually go out there and seek these records. And I found it interesting that no statistics was done after the year 2013. And I pray that those are updated very soon. Reason being, I understand that the immunizations that were increased between 2008 and 2012 increased around that time. And even though the link of SIDS and vaccinations have not been brought together, it's still very interesting that you have these SIDS related deaths continuing after the increase of these vaccinations. So we really need our healthcare professionals to get on the ball and research why this occurs. So, ways to prevent SIDS. Now, you can do everything right as a parent, and your baby may have passed away. I did everything that I could for my baby to prevent SIDS. It was something that was in the back of my mind. However, it still occurred. But ways that you can prevent SIDS from happening to your baby are as follows. Number one, be sure that before you lay your baby down in their sleeping environment, which should be their crib or their playpen, you remove all blankets and toys out of their crib. Now, you can place a blanket in with the baby if you're swaddling the baby and securing their arms and their little legs together. This actually helps them to stay in one place. However, with older babies, you want to ensure that you remove all blankets. Baby is not capable of, removing things that obstruct their breathing until they're about 6, 7, 8 months old. But a younger baby, you have to be very cautious. So remove your toys and remove the blankets out of the crib. Secondly, you want to ensure that your baby is laying on their back always in their cribs. In fact, when you do lay them on their backs, be sure that their bodies are actually closest to the corner of the crib. That's the area facing the wall. You want to ensure that your baby is on their back by the corner of the crib. That way you don't have to deal with your baby attempting to turn over. If their body is on the surface or close to the rear of the crib and they're laying on their backs, they're less inclined to flop over. So always lay your babies on their backs. And in fact, laying them on their backs ensures that their bodies and they are able to receive as much air as possible. So that's another reason and another tip. Thirdly, you want to ensure that your baby is in their crib and in their playpens when they are sleeping. Try your best not to co-sleep. I'm speaking from personal experience. When my baby passed away, it would have been the first time since she was an infant, and since she was like a few days old, that she was laying in the bed with me. And there are a few environmental factors that day that may have contributed to her death. In the Bahamas, we were experiencing some dump fires, and I live in close proximity to the dump. And so I believe perhaps, the exposure from the smoke that the day before and her co-sleeping with me, perhaps, maybe she was trying to turn her head, and in addition to her little lungs being filled with that smoke, maybe that could have been a factor. And I can't believe I'm saying that so calmly, because that fact alone, it's really upsetting. It's really upsetting, and I find myself getting really sad, y'all, when I think about how that morning went. I say to myself, wow, if only I had put her back in a crib after I had fed her, because I was actually feeding her at the time, and I fell asleep. And I kept saying, if I had put her back in her crib, none of this would have happened. I go over in my head over and over again, what if I had done this, and what if I had done that? But I think about perhaps if I had found her in a crib and she was not breathing anyway, then I would have probably wanted her close to me. So it's a double-edged sword. But you wanna, in any event, leave them in their cribs, in their own sleeping environment. That is always the safest choice to make. In addition to smoke, from point number 3, number 4, please ensure that you are in a smoke-free environment, that you are not smoking yourself, and persons who feel that they must smoke, that if they do have to handle your baby, have them remove the top layer of clothing that they were wearing. In fact, if they have to change your clothes, let them. This is your child, and safety is always first. So ensure that they wash their hands, remove the clothing that they were wearing during their smoking period, and to avoid smoke as possible. Now, as I said in point number 3, some of the environmental factors that may have contributed to my baby passing away would have been that dump fire. But of course, because SIDS cannot be conclusively proven to be suffocation or anything, there's no known cause of what causes SIDS. That cannot be proven, but safety is always first. So please avoid smoke and smokers and smoking. Another way to prevent SIDS, point number 5, is by encouraging pacifiers. Now, pacifiers keeps a baby restful but in an alert enough state to arouse them to wake up. So you may want to encourage pacifiers. It's completely up to you. Some parents are very afraid, like me. I am a fanatic about teeth. I want to ensure that my kids do not have buck tooth and all that stuff, but you can encourage pacifiers. Nothing is wrong with that, and if it can prevent SIDS, then all the power to you. Okay guys, so I hope you found this first video very informative. Sudden infant death, or sudden unexpected infant death, is tragic, it's traumatic, and it is something no parent should ever have to face. Prevention is always better than cure, as we say down here. So I just want you guys to be safe, keep your little ones safe, and just do what you can to prevent this horrible event to happening to anybody else. Okay? Alright, so be sure to like and subscribe to this channel, and if you would be so kind, share to a friend, share to somebody you know that may be having a child very soon or has a young baby, so that they can be educated and they can be informed. I thank you guys for supporting this channel, and come back for the next video when it is posted. Like I said, I'm going to try my best to be consistent in posting regularly for you guys. Also, if you want to send any letters or have any questions, I'm going to link my email address below so that we can have a conversation and talk. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care and be blessed. Bye.